That's Titanfall 2, All Helmets by LordFluffy.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is LordFluffy, and welcome back to Fast Pace Events. This is Titanfall 2, and I just want to say to everybody who donated, you did this. It was you. You're the reason I'm going to be running all helmets here today, and thank you so much for that. I am stripping over my words. Thank you so much for that incentive upgrade. Do appreciate it. I am here with a co-commentator. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Angry Space Dorito. I used to run this game, but I'm still in the community and quite active, so yeah, I absolutely love this game, and I love its movement system. And yeah, really excited to do this.
Alrighty, so as we're running all helmets, one of the requirements of all helmets is to start from a new game. This will reset all of the helmets' positions throughout the course of the game, and it also allows me to do this thing called start from the beginning of the game as well. It's this wonderful little thing. So, timing will begin when I hit spacebar on press space to continue here. It will be on go. 3, 2, 1, go. So first things first to run down is a thing that every marathon runner does, but it's super important to say, is that Titanfall 2 runs on a modified version of the source engine. So, the reason why that's important is because on top of the game's inherent movement mechanics and parkour mechanics, we're also going to be taking advantage of source engine holdovers like bunny hopping and air strafing. Air strafing is definitely the most important one, and to put it as simply as possible, air strafing is the game caps your speed if you're holding W, or holding forward in the air, but if you're holding left or right and moving your mouse in that direction, you actually gain speed. Dorito can take over and explain more from here.
Yes, so LordFluffy explained air strafing, and I will explain bunny hopping, or rather slide hopping, as it is in this game. Normal bunny hopping has a very short window to do it, whereas with slide hopping, since we're sliding along the ground, we have a little bit more leniency when it comes to it. And basically the idea is to spend as much time in the air as possible air strafing, and as little time as possible on the ground losing speed. So here we're gonna head into this gun range here, get the secret weapon that's at the top here, the EPG, which is basically just a rocket launcher that we will use for some damage boosts later on after shooting all these targets. And as we head into the gauntlet, which is, yeah, also another thing I should mention, is we are immortal here because this is supposed to be a simulation. So we can just hold grenades in our hand and just let them explode in there, which will give us the boost without the burden of death. And we use that as well as the EPG, and we're gonna grab helmet number 1 of the run here. We start the gauntlet again, and then back again to skip some dialogue with Lastimosa. And as we now head into a lot of waiting because it's the beginning of the game and we need exposition.
Yep. So, speaking of the exposition, the whole point of this whole simulation that we're in is that the pilot that we're with, Lastimosa, is training us to become a pilot. And pilots are effectively like a super soldier type of deal. They're super, extremely skilled specialist units that have the capabilities to pilot these giant robots called Titans, as you can see one in front of us, BT-7274. And, you know, being a pilot is super, like, respected because of your skills as a whole. So I'm going to go for a funny little glitch here, if I timed this right. Oh, I missed it. That's okay. That's fine. We'll worry about that another time. So, the idea of being trained to become a pilot is a huge deal because Lastimosa sees something in us. He sees the potential of a pilot, and therefore is going out of his way to train us despite that not being, you know, within protocol. But either way, we end up being kicked out of the simulation because we're going into war mode. The ship that we're on is heading to a planet controlled by the IMC, which is basically a super conglomerate of corporations that are, you know, being a super conglomerate of evil corporations. And we are the militia, which is the rebel group rebelling against them to free the frontier. That's what it's called, the frontier.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, with that being said, we are going to go ahead and finish up this level. As we finish up this level here, we're going to be going ahead and mashing the space bar as it fades to black. This will do two things. Number one, it'll get us through the menuing we have to do as fast as possible. But number two, if we do it fast enough, it'll actually select the easy difficulty for us before we can even... before the game can even transition the selection over to normal or hard, depending on your performance in the gauntlet. So, that gets us through the first level. That is the tutorial level done and dusted. This is the first real level of the game, which is BT7274. And while we got some cutscenes going, this is a good time to explain the most important of the parkour movement mechanics, which is wall kicks. So, you can wall run in this game, and when you jump off a wall, you get about a 12-kilometer impulse to your current speed every time you jump off of a wall. If you jump off the wall within 5 ticks of that, touching the wall, which ticks are different from frame rate. It's just the the internal tick rate of the game. If you jump off within 5 ticks, you will get a speed boost. Now, the important thing to note is that we are actually using an advanced version of this called crouch kicks, and that's because there's an additional way to get extra speed off of a wall jump, which is an end boost, which is, when the game is going to be kicking you off the wall at the end of the wall run timer. If you jump off then, you get a small extra little boost that's like 2 to 3 kilometers extra from jumping off the wall at that point. If we jump off the wall during a wall kick by pressing crouch and jump at the same time on the same frame, we actually get the speed boost from both a wall kick and an end boost to get a crouch kick, and that is the majority of what we're going to be using through the run. Now, if you look at the bottom left, you see something called CKF. That's called the crouch kick fix, which I will explain just after this quick gameplay session here. So, we're going to be going through a short gameplay section here, and we will not have all of our parkour movement available to us. We won't have our double jump, we won't have our wall kicks or anything, but we do have the ability to do slide hops. So we're going to do a quick super glide out of the cutscene here by pressing crouch and jump as we come out of a cutscene situation. Gives us an instant speed boost. Quickly use some air strafing and slide hopping to maneuver around these guys, and now we enter the infamous 18-hour cutscene. So, the crouch kick fix is a community-made implementation by Fizzy that is a buffer for your jump and your crouch inputs. The reason why the crouch kick fix is a thing is that, as I mentioned, crouch kicks are frame perfect. This means that there's even a non-zero delay, even 1 millisecond delay between your jump and your crouch inputs. There's a chance you will miss that crouch kick because your jump input falls on one frame and your crouch input falls on the other frame. By adding an 8 millisecond delay, which is 1 frame at 120 seconds at half a frame at 60 frames per second, you can guarantee, as long as your timing is consistently within 8 milliseconds, that you will always get that crouch kick. And it's a nice little fix that we've made to remove the effective randomness of crouch kicks from the run. It is also worth noting that it goes one layer deeper to your hardware. It's frame rate and hardware dependent, but that part does not need to really be explained at this point. So, while we're in the middle of this cutscene, fun little thing that we can do here. If you have your cursor over Richter here, the NPC in front of us, and you press the spacebar, his jacket starts to wiggle around a little bit. And I don't know why this happens, but it's absolutely hilarious. Just look at it go, man. Woo! Alrighty, so, while we're waiting for more gameplay to happen here, this will be a fantastic time for messages from our good friend, Zokubun.
Absolutely. Thank you, Fluffy. The ever-ending cutscene. So just a reminder, y'all, we do have an incentive open. Your donations towards the last incentive got this to all helmets, but we do have the Master Run incentive, and that will make Limga run a Master Run of Super Monkey Ball 2. That's all the hardest levels in the game in a row after they finish the bingo run. So please put your donations towards that. Make sure you select that in Tiltify when you make that donation, because otherwise we won't be able to change that for you. And while you're at it, help us choose which character that they'll be using in Super Monkey Ball 2. Again, that's Ai, that's Mimi, that's Baby, that's Gongon. They're all the cutest monkey names. If you have a preference, get your donations in, ! Donate in chat.
Alrighty, so there is a small bit of gameplay section here, but this gameplay section ultimately doesn't matter. So anyway, we have shot Lastimosa, and this is definitely an intended thing that we had to do. So now Lastimosa will be experiencing his Lastimoments and we will be given his full array of pilot technology, because what he's doing is he's transferring the authorization of his Titan to us. So we're going to be getting his pilot helmet and his jump kit, which will give us our full array of pilot and parkour movement. So it is, again, worth noting that despite that gameplay existing, the reason I mentioned that is because we have a community-made infiltration and live split that'll skip this entire cutscene and that gameplay segment till just about a few seconds from now, and then inject that time into live split, so it's if we didn't do it anyway. And that gameplay section basically doesn't matter because it's effectively an auto-scroller. You have to be willfully, like, not ignorant, but, like, willfully trying to lose time there to lose time. Anyway, as we head into gameplay here, there's going to be one little caveat to our movement here, and that is that we don't have a double jump immediately available to us. The lore reason is that the jump kit is calibrating to our body, and once we get that calibration done, we'll have it back, but until then, we are working only with the single jump. Now, generally speaking, in Titanfall 2 speedruns, you can correct a lot of movement mistakes via your double jump, but because we don't have access to that, all of our movement has to be very purposeful through this section, lest we accidentally jump errantly into a pit. So, all of the routing that you're seeing here is very intentional from me to attempt to avoid different types of pitfalls or little pieces of errant terrain. And we're doing a little skip here. Ooh, have a little bit of a camera bug. Alright, no worries there. Sometimes the camera will like to jut off to the side while you're doing a wall run. Unfortunately, that happened there. Had to take a little bit of a backup. No big deal. We can continue forward from here. This is a very unfriendly section here, this river. Ooh. I'm going to go directly into the pit.
Unfriendly indeed.
Unfortunate. So that was a case of... So that was unfortunately a case of... a piece of errant terrain caused me to lose speed as I went for a jump, and that caused me to not be able to jump over that gap. So we will simply try that again here. Not the greatest checkpoint in the world, but we will continue forward. No big deal. Alright, I have a little bit of issue with movement here, so we're just going to take some safety strat here to jump over the gap this time. Very good. Continuing forward through this section, we're going to take a wall run here, double jump or jump off. Now we're going to maneuver around here, and as we come up this hill here, we will finally gain access to our double jump. And now we have the full array of pilot movement available to us for the rest of the game, with one caveat very later on in the game that is not a super big deal. Alright, so as we come up through the ship, the reason we're coming through the ship is we will need to pick up these batteries, and these batteries are necessary to recharge BT, the Titan that has had its authorization given to us by Lastimosa in his dying moments. And we need to recharge him, otherwise, well, we don't have the biggest chance of survival, so says the game. This is a slant boost. By falling and sliding on specific pieces of slanted terrain, you can transfer all of your vertical momentum into horizontal momentum, and be able to use that to carry that momentum through things. Ideally, we would have thrown the frag grenade there and killed both of those guys. All three of those guys didn't end up happening, but fairly quick backup there. And I'm going to let Dorito take over for Ravine.
Yes, so Ravine is the more intense section of this level, here we're gonna see a frag boost come out, which we have to be a little bit more careful with those when we're outside of the gauntlet. And here we have this big wall-to-wall section, and as you can see, like the name of the game with Titanfall 2 is momentum and momentum conservation. Basically, we're just trying to get as much speed as possible using wall kicks, crouch kicks, air strafing, etc., and trying to just maintain that speed throughout this entire section. And one thing I should also mention, BT is the level that's most famous for having janky terrain. So that explains the earlier death that's the aptly named Death Rubber.
Yeah, so unlike with other stages, basically the terrain in a lot of places like actually straight up matches. The hitbox of the terrain actually straight up matches the model, and it can lead to some absolute jank in this level as a result. But here we are. We're going to be going for a second slant boost here. This one we're going to ideally at 65 or higher. Okay, so we didn't quite get it. We're going to go for a backup situation there. to get over to this helmet as quickly as we can, pick it up, and then head back onto the beaten path. Now we're going to head over. We're going to do some frag boosts in this situation, ideally, or not frag boosts, but frag throws. Ideally, these throws end up in the right position to take out all the enemies in question. Perfect. Excellent frags. Put in the second battery, and we're done with the pilot section of this level. Heading up next, we'll be doing the Titan tutorial. Now, to explain while we're waiting for things to go off, Titans are basically treated like giant pilots in terms of the game's coding, in the sense that they are subjected to the same general source engine physics as a pilot. The big difference is that they don't have access to the parkour movements, but they get instead a rechargeable dash that they take advantage of as a result. They also get access to a wide array of abilities that change with loadouts that will assist for both, number one, combat and counter optimization, but also, number two, some movement optimization in specific locations. So, what we're being introduced to here, as we're being linked into BT, is we're going to be introduced to the first loadout of the game, which is Expeditioner, and we're going to be trying to make use of the tools that we get access to get through this little section here with some proper optimization. So first off, we're going to get access to a Vortex Shield. Ideally, yes, we get all of those enemies destroyed in the first volley. Second volley, we want to take out all the enemies on the left. This will cause a wave to spawn in the middle. We reflect those back into the middle wave. Ideally, we would have taken both of those guys out there. Didn't end up happening. So we're going to lose a little bit of time, but that's okay. We can just quickly use our now accessed salvo pod to take out those specters there. Take out that wave. Reflect another wave into these drones back here. Okay, not quite what we were looking for. We're just going to take a quick backup with some rockets. And ideally, this should leave no more than one of them alive. Yep, there we go. Mission complete. We're through the first part of the Titan tutorial, and now we're going to head into the second part, which is a quick Titan fight. We're going to try and do a strategy here, referred to as the No You. We're going to dash forward, put down electric smoke, try and manipulate him to go to a specific position. Now we're going to take all of the bullets that we fired into his Vortex Shield, reflect them back to him with our Vortex Shield, which is the double No You, and then quickly take him out with the rest of our clip. So, despite the little mistake in Death River, everything there went pretty well, and that is going to be... We're going to need an audio cue here. Very good. Alright, so this is the end of the first level, BT7274. Now we're going to be heading on into Blood and Rust. So if you've seen an any percent run of Titanfall 2 before but haven't seen an all helmets run, this is where things start to actually show a good amount of differences. So, BT7274 and the Gauntlet play pretty similar to mostly the same in any percent versus all helmets, with very minor differences. But Blood and Rust is where the routing starts to actually get pretty different. So, we have 6 helmets to pick up in this level. To start off with, normally, high-level runners would do a strategy here called Disembark, where they would disembark immediately, and then use the power of frag boosting and crouch kicks to gain ridiculous amounts of speed through this first section to get over to the section where they need to later on. However, in all helmets, we actually have to stop that halfway through in order to come over here, which is where we're going to do a disembark jump to get on top of this pipe, come down here, pick up this first helmet. Now, normally the game would expect us to get back into BT, but we're just going to ignore BT at this point and go the rest of the way in pilot movement. And this is because, generally speaking, although the Titan movement has very high bursts, the pilot movement, if you can maintain your speed, is just generally faster than Titan movement overall. Not to mention, we also have to...
Helmets.
Sorry, what?
The helmets.
Oh. I forgot. Hopefully that didn't put me in here. Okay, it didn't.
Oh, perfect checkpoint.
I autopilot to any percent. This does happen sometimes, ladies and gentlemen. What I was supposed to do was come on over here to get this helmet over this way, and then we do a quick little jump across the gap here, wall kick like that, and then we were supposed to enter here. So thank you, Dorito, for the reminder. Lamau. Anyway, gonna let Dorito take over the commentary here as I continue, because this section is difficult.
Yes, so here I'm going to introduce you to our next piece of movement tech that we discovered, which if you've played Apex, you might have heard of this. It's called tap strafing. Titanfall 2 has a mechanic called keyboard grace, or as we refer to it as lurch, which is basically 0.4 seconds after you do any kind of jump, that being a normal jump, double jump, wall jump. You get this period where you can press your movement keys on your keyboard to get a slight nudge or lurch in that particular direction. And if you do that a couple times, if you stack multiple of them on top of each other, you can use that to make some really tight turns, which you're gonna see right now in this corridor. Basically, these really tight 90-degree turns that you're seeing, normally we wouldn't be able to make them with just air strafing, which is why tap strafing is so useful. So here we are. We're gonna grab another helmet off of these pipes here.
I gotta reset that up.
It's fine. Little backup. There you go. That's helmet number 4 out of 6 for this level. We're gonna climb up on here in a very dark situation, but it's fine. We're gamers. And we're gonna head into Grunt Hallways, which has a lot of enemy NPCs stacked very close to each other, and it's incredibly difficult not to bonk into any of them. But we managed to get just a bit snagged up. It's fine. And here we're gonna grab another helmet as well as the EPG, which we saw in the gauntlet, which we're gonna use later on for some extra damage boost. And here we're gonna do a bump launch. Grab the helmet. Yes, okay. A bump launch is basically wedging yourself into a corner, holding direction into that corner, holding crouch, and then spamming jump, which just stacks a bunch of double jumps on top of each other and propels you upwards like a rocket. And here we're going to do the first sequence break of the game, which is called Sludge Skip, where we are going to press this button. Normally here we would have a about 5-minute fight, but we can use a gap in this invisible wall to get to BT early, which skips having to do that entire fight, as we head into the subsequent boss fight, which will be Kane.
Yeah. So Blood and Rust is a very difficult stage, and even in any percent, Blood and Rust is a very difficult stage, and then you also have to route in those 6 helmets throughout the level as well. So on top of simply needing to remember the helmets, it's also just something that is like trying to keep your momentum through this level is very difficult. So sometimes mistakes will happen and you'll forget a helmet, but either way, we're done with all the helmets here, so we're going to come into the boss fight. We're going to quickly lock on with the tone ability to both enemies. This will cause a double missile barrage that we end up using to take out just the Brute and only the Brute. We do a quick swap reload, which by swapping loadouts, we reload faster than if we just let the reload animation go off normally. We're going to send our Salvo Core, which is like an ultimate ability, into the middle of Kane. And that is it. Have to make sure that BT doesn't accidentally cause me to embark there. And that is the end of the level. So, this is a perfect time to show off a couple of things. The most notable thing, of course, is the concept of lurch. Because we have to wait for the end of the level here regardless, no matter what happens, we can show you the general gist of why lurch can be used for tap strafing the way it does. So, we shoot the ground here. If I jump, I don't move at all. But if I jump and then tap, you see that I start to move in that direction just a little bit. Now, what you can do with this is, normally if I try to take like a 90-degree turn, you see I can't do any turn like that at all. But if I add in a bunch of lurches that are angled at a 45-degree angle, you see I can actually end up keeping that speed in and of itself. So like right here, boom, I'm at it with those lurches. I end up managing to keep that speed in a 90-degree turn. And that's because of air acceleration, which is too complicated to go into, but the long and the short of it, the low air acceleration value of Titanfall 2 means that it's harder as a whole to turn in the air. And that allows us to circumvent that. I need an audio cue at the start here. Alright, good.
Perfect.
Decent frag boost. Alright, so this is Into the Abyss Chapter 1. Now, this level has gone through major overhauls in the last recent years. In any percent. And part of that has also translated over to all helmets. But all helmets already made this stage very different from its any percent counterpart. So, you have already noticed that we've left BT behind. Now, you're not actually supposed to leave BT behind, at least for the way the game wants you to play through this level. But we end up leaving BT behind here because it ends up being faster. I didn't quite have the speed I needed to go for a quicker route here, so I'm going to take a slower but safer route in this situation. I'm going to try and use a couple EPG boosts here to get through. We're going to take some routing over to helmet number 3 here. And now, this is where things get a little funky. So, previously in all helmets runs that I've done, we didn't actually use this upcoming trick, but this actually saves so much time in all helmets now that it's just worth it to go for regardless. So, we've ended up clipping out of bounds here. And this is part 1 of what is known as the Abyss Sandwich. Normally, you would need a BT, our Titan, in order to be able to progress through the level. It's not going to give me a big boost. Gonna have to work with that. There we go. Well, that should be good enough. But by going out of bounds, we can actually hit a bunch of triggers out of bounds. And then we can navigate underneath this door that we'd otherwise need BT to pass through. Then we can just travel our way around through these rocks, end up voiding out right here, which will put us back in bounds, which is perfect because we need to come back in bounds, number 1, to complete the level, but also number 2, to collect this helmet over here. As we collect this level, we're going to reload checkpoint. That number 1 gets us back in bounds quicker, but also number 2 saves time because of the fact that we timed this game without loads. So it's faster both RTA and loadless as well. So just overall good to use here. So now we're going to hit that switch. We're going to try and navigate around these guys. A little bit of difficulty, so we're just taking a little bit slow here. And now we come over, press this button. We've collected all 4 of the helmets in that level. We've gone our way down, and I just golded that level by 3 seconds. Lamau. Let's go!
For the
that was
record,
beautiful.
they also golded this level as we were practicing yesterday.
Yeah, alrighty. So, that is part 1 of what is known as the Abyss Sandwich. And now, here we go. We're going into Abyss Chapter 2. This is not part of the Abyss Sandwich.
Yes, so as Fluffy is super laser focused on this intense movement here, grabbing all these helmets and such, I'm going to introduce you to the favorite adult pastime, which is disappointment. Because what you might not know about this level is that it's a big, big auto-scroller from beginning to end. And there is pretty much nothing we can do about it at this moment. So basically this level is tied to the cycle of these platforms that we are going to see in front of us. And basically we can't get through this level faster than the first platform to arrive at the end. So here we're going to introduce another concept, which will be platform velocity, as we head into Swaggy Nose. Oh, that was way too much.
Way too much. Yeah, we're not doing that. We ideally want to have platform momentum there because in all helmets, we don't just use the Told Spice route and go directly to the end and just wait there for a minute. We do have to actually transition through the level, quote-unquote, normally. But 216 is way too much. Like, I had no faith I was going to be able to control that properly, so I did my best to just, like, abandon ship and just try and, like, you know, go back to doing the level a bit slow. So, what you're seeing right now is basically ancient strats. Like, these are the strategies that people use to get through Abyss 2 before people knew that it was an auto-scroller. So yeah, these strats are relatively ancient, but they also work perfectly because of the fact that it is an auto-scroller. There's no need to go for anything particularly hard so long as we reach the end of this platform on the by the time by the time we reach the end of the assembly line, as long as we reach there by the end of the first platform leaving the assembly line, it doesn't ultimately matter like how fast we go otherwise. So we can absolutely use these strategies to our advantage as a result. So we're going to pick up another helmet here. I think I'm a bit slow, so I could have gone onto it, but this is the first platform right there, so we're just going to play it a little bit safe. And in the meantime, I can answer a question. So all helmets, if you are not aware, is effectively the 100% category. It is collecting all of the pilot helmets strewn out the variety of different levels in the game. And while it's not technically 100% because there are other things you could do, you can effectively treat it like the all 100% or all collectibles category in different games as well. So we've now managed to get to the end of the assembly line here. We've picked up the second helmet, and we got there with what I like to refer to as the fast cycle. So there's like 5 cycles that are technically doable in order to finish the game, or get to the end of the assembly line in time. There's what I like to call first fast. Oop, that is dangerous. Just gonna go over there real quick. First, fast, average, slow, and last. And last is very difficult, but because there's like 5 cycles that are doable to catch the first platform on, it does mean that you don't have to necessarily go super quickly through this level in order to make sure that you can get to this first platform in time. But the quicker you go, the more time you obviously have to work with. So I'm just saying it for anyone who wants to run all helmets. There's no reason to be risky for that helmet at all. Just play it as safe as you want, as long as you're going fast. Anyway, we're going to be coming up now on dome launch, and I can let Dorito explain that.
Yes, so as you saw earlier with our very strong example of platform velocity, we're going to use another one, but this time we're going to be angled upwards. So we've positioned ourselves precisely in this spot on this assembly arm thing, and for a brief moment it will be moving us upwards, and we're going to use that split second of time in order to use that upward momentum that it has, which carries over to the player. We're going to jump, and it also applies to our double jump, so we get launched super high up, and that is dome launch. As we prepare for the next biggest sequence break of the game, before we also grab the helmet as well, and we're going to prepare for totally the hardest trick in the game, bar none. Totally.
Yeah, so there's some really silly stuff that you have to do in order to make this work. We don't know why it works this way, but you know, you have to start off, you have to like get your lineup right about here or so, and then you have to like crouch in about this position, shoot twice, and then you're going to just back up and then crouch through this hole in the wall. We're obviously kidding. There is just a missing piece of collision there. That you can just crouch and walk through, which allows you to get out of bounds. You then navigate over this direction to right about here in this position, and basically the way this works is when the screen goes completely black here, the game will actually teleport us to another dome that is way off in the distance. And where we're standing right now is directly above of the end level trigger, which is always loaded, I should say. If you want to help us find a way to completely skip this stage and earn $2,000 plus for helping us find a way to skip this stage, we have a bounty to be able to skip this stage in our Discord that you can come help and join if you're a glitch hunter. So please come help us with that. We would like to skip the stage. Anyway. Up now is Into the Abyss, Chapter 3, and this is the other half of the Abyss sandwich. So, by doing the pilot movement through the first section of Into the Abyss Chapter 1, we actually ended up skipping 2 Titan loadouts, one of which is used for the normal strategy of progressing through this level, which is a hover version of Ash Skip. Now, luckily for us, we do have another way to skip the Ash fight outright. So in the meantime, we did a small attempt at a bump launch. Didn't quite go as what we were looking for, but that is okay. We're going to go for a quick little routing around here. The routing around here can be difficult, as the hitboxes of a lot of these things is not actually very big, so navigating around it can be very difficult. But that bump launch ideally should save you time by being able to pick up the helmet without having to move the cylinder at all and navigate around it. Next up is going through Decept Caverns. We're going to jump over this gap. Okay, we're going to do a backup here, where we're going to jump onto this wall, and ideally we should get ahead just barely here.
Ooh, that was scary.
Yep, we can make it work. Alright, so backup complete. We're good and good to go. Now, I don't really feel comfortable. Oh my goodness, come on. Stop doing an animation, BT. I need to get into you. I need to go fast. Alright, anyway, so the ideal movement through here is that you carry the pilot movement through this section in and of itself, but because I had to go for a backup there, I'm just going to take the rest of this level safe and do it via Titan movement. And we're going to head on over to the Ash fight itself, and then we're going to be doing the variant of Ash Skip called E-Smoke Ash Skip. So again, as normal, normally the older version, and also the version that mid-level runners will do of Ash Skip, is to use a VTOL hover, or just like a hover on the Brute ability, hover up onto a pipe and go out of bounds clip out of bounds to get to the end of the level. Here, instead, we're going to go into the Ash fight trigger itself. We're going to position ourselves behind a truck in the back right of the screen, use the E-Smoke ability, and if we position ourselves correctly, BT should back up and clip himself into this door over here. And so long as we embark at around the right time, we should just clip straight through. So we come over here, use E-Smoke, disembark. BT will get himself into the wall. I believe that may have screwed it. Yes, it did. Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to go ahead and reload checkpoint there just to get Ash's manipulation in a different location.
Yes, also the reason that we don't actually do the hover version of Ash Skip is because due to doing the Abyss Sandwich, we skip out on picking up several Titan loadouts, one of them being the Brute, which has the aforementioned VTOL hover. What is going on there? This should normally work.
It's no big deal. We'll just try it again here. I'm trying to get Ash to... in a different location here. We'll just try this again. This might work.
This should be fine.
There we go. Okay. So that's the way it goes. Fun fact, that is actually the first time I've failed that skip outright, and I have no idea what happened. So, we'll just move on with that situation. No big deal. Head on over to the end level trigger, which, just like Abyss 2, is always loaded, so thankfully we don't have to do the Ash fight itself. And we can move on to the next part of the run, which is Effect and Cause. And this level, if you've played the Titanfall 2 before, this is the level you remember. If you know somebody who's played this game, this is the level that they always talk about. So, I'm going to start off riding our way through. Oh, I got that bump again. That's a silly little upwards bump. Why does that happen? It doesn't save it. It doesn't like hurt at all to get that bump, but it is very silly that I get it. All right. Anyway, most of this building destroyed before.
Oh, now it's back to being destroyed, and now it's back to fixed, and now it's back to destroyed again. I wonder what is happening here. It almost seems like we're moving between two separate timelines. I wonder if this will have any unforeseen consequences.
Alright, so ideally I would have had a frag boost through that little section there. Didn't quite work out, though. The bit of geometry I hit was not very kind to me in that situation, but we are still going to progress on forward. Had some decent wall kicks there, so we can carry our little speed. And this is Captain Anderson. We were supposed to come and find this guy. He turned off his no-clip at the wrong time. He's just hanging out. Don't worry about him. And now that we've picked up...
we did find him.
We did find him. Mission complete. That is actually one of the dialogues you can get from BT here. He's like, I found Anderson. He's in the ceiling. And BT just coldly is just like, mission complete. We have rendezvoused with Major Anderson. Anyway, so we've now entered a exposition dialogue here. That's effectively a cutscene that we can move around in. So we're going to pick up some helmets, get into a position, and this is a perfect time for more messages from our good friend Zokubun.
Absolutely. So, hello to our lovely Raider friends, or if you're watching on speedrun.com, come join us here at Fast Paced Events on Twitch. We're raising money for Take This. And, of course, we do have incentives open. What kind of event would we be if we didn't have that? Because coming up, we've got Super Monkey Ball with some wonderful monkey friends and possibly a master run at the end. If you can help us get that unlocked, that's $101 raised out of the $200 goal. Wow, that's over halfway there. I mean, it's $1 over, but you know, just like with Anderson, we it's the thought that counts. And one of the donations that got us down was this lovely anonymous donation for $25 and says, "Please say hi to our friend Marvin."
We'll be saying hi to Marvin, all right. Don't worry about it.
We sure
Thank you
will.
so much, Anonymous. Well, we're getting a promise of saying hi. It might be, once again, the thought that counts.
All right, so right here we've positioned ourselves in such a way that we can jump, grab this zip line the moment it is grabbable at the top of the zip line so that we can get inside of this building as quickly as possible. You might be wondering, with our parkour movement, why didn't we just, you know, go into that hole there? There's actually a giant invisible wall around that hole that we can't get around without the use of the zip line. So we're going to go for a little funny thing here. Didn't quite get it, so that's no big deal. And now we're going to be going for one of the coolest tricks in this game. Go ahead, Dorito.
Yes, so we're going to be heading into FTL, which requires a bit of explanation before we get into it. So in this level, we have these laser grids, which if you touch them, they will knock you back and do some damage. And the knockback is at like 90 kilometers an hour, so we're going to use that speed to just propel ourselves through this long corridor. Oh no! No!
Damn, I messed it up.
That was so close as well.
I'm going to go for it one more time.
One more time.
Nope.
Nope,
all right, no big
not
deal.
the angle. It's fine. But yeah, we would usually propel ourselves using that laser grid all the way into the other half of Anderson's corpse here, which contains the funny watch, which will let us control time. That's so cool to say.
Yeah. So this is the other half of Anderson just hanging out in the ceiling. Don't worry about it. He is just hanging out. He's fine. It's no big deal. And now comes one of my favorite prompts in video game history. As we collect this little wrist device here, you can press mouse 5, or whatever your button is, to time travel. One of my favorite prompts in video game history. So this is affecting Cause Chapter 2. This is, like, far and away, like, the most, like, famous level in this game. On its own, and that's because the gimmick of it, you know, this being able to control the time traveling is just so fun to play around with here. Like in a casual level, in a casual perspective, it's like a puzzle level where you're trying to figure out what time swaps you need to do in order to get to the next part of the level. Where the speed run, it's all about timing your time swaps to be like as optimal as they possibly can be. Now, here we're going to enter a scripted sequence that we have to wait for. This is a dialogue sequence with Major Anderson, and this is a good time to show Major Eli Anderson. Major Eli Anderson. Wait, where did he go? He's up there. So the way that this level is actually structured is that there's 2 levels stacked exactly on top of each other. 1,000. Okay, here we go. And every time you swap time, you're actually being teleported up and down a specific amount of distance. Which I just think is a really, really cool way to solve that problem of, like, how do we code in what it looks like to, you know, swap time? Incredibly cool way to disguise that from the game, for sure. We're introducing a second dialogue sequence here. At the end of this, I will need a audio cue for a frag boost, so I'm going to make sure these guys are as dead as they possibly can be. Come over here for a set up. Slightly, there she go, that should work. So I just need an audio cue here.
Perfect frag boost. Wow, okay, so now we're gonna head into Cryo after we grab this sneaky little helmet and the subsequent Hell Room section. which will be the fastest paced part of this level, where we're gonna grab this other helmet here, immediately have our frag ready, and we're gonna attempt something called Hellroom Zipless. Okay, looks good. One jump on. Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately I missed the jump there, so couldn't really go for it, had to abandon it. But ideally it would have let us completely skip that zip line here as we progress through this part of the level. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go for a little something here. We're going to pick up this helmet. I think that was incorrect. I think I had to land on it. Yeah, okay. So that was silly of me. I forgot I had to land on it, so that's
it's okay.
fine.
We can show it off anyway. Look at this cool bridge that we're about to activate. It's really cool, trust me.
I didn't get it. I landed on it though, so we'll go for it one more time. Yeah, so if you land on this platform, you get a guaranteed spawn here. And then you can do this. Whee! Okay, so we already wasted time there, so we're just going to keep moving. But that was a snuggle slide. It is a thing with platform momentum and the jank that comes from it that allows us to just, for some reason, shoot up to like 150 kilometers per hour. It's ridiculous. Ideally, you could have used it to carry that momentum through the entire section, but it is also difficult to control at that speed, so just how it goes.
It's a trick that happens in 2 seconds, but requires 10 minutes of explanation.
Yeah. Definitely recommend checking out Zweek's videos on platform and momentum conservation in this game.
So, yeah,
in this game for sure.
So now we're going to head into the shortest level of the game, which is Effect and Cause Chapter 3. Here we're going to hack into this keyboard, which has a convenient knife port for reasons, don't ask. We're going to swap back, jump over these legions, time a... oh wait, you don't have frag, never mind.
Nope.
We're going to dodge all of the fire that's just focused at us solely. As we break the concept of time, everything is frozen except for us because we have the funny watch. And the reason all of this time stuff is happening is because of the funny blue marble, the funny big blue marble, which is what it's actually called, by the way.
That's interesting. An interesting claim there. Why don't you back it up with a source?
My source is that I made it the heck up!
Aha! I got it. Alright, so while we're waiting for the end of this level to end here, perfect time for a quick message from the host.
Absolutely. I've just been enraptured in this. But I did want to point out that that last donation did put their money towards Gone. So if you want to get I believe II is the hero of the Super Monkey Ball series, and the SMB block is coming right up, starting with our next run right after this one. So Mimi, baby, if you want one of those in the lead, get your donations in. That's ! donate in chat. All of that is once again going towards Take This.
Alrighty, so at the beginning of Effect and Cause, in Beacon Chapter 1 here, we're going to quickly go back to the main menu. This is because we skipped a number of Titan loadouts during this speedrun, and by going back to the main menu and then loading into the level from the mission select, we will have access to those those Titan loadouts that we skipped before. Now it does get rid of our previous loadout of abilities, previous loadout of pilot weapons that we had before. However, we have strategies to work around that here. So this section is going to be moving through this terrain. We want to head over to this building off in the distance as fast as we possibly can. This is dangerous. I think I can make it.
Dying?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, yeah,
we're good. I'll make it.
Yeah, so the reason we're doing this is, we're gonna quickly head over and shoot all these stalkers in the backs, which they have convenient weak spots which make them explode. We're gonna do that, and we're gonna head back into BT. And the reason we did this whole exercise is if we do this, we go early and we kill all the stalkers and go back to BT. This skips a significant portion of dialogue which we would have to listen to. And yeah, we're gonna head into this building to progress the game, where we're gonna have some more dialogue.
Yeah, so I'm going to go for a quick strategy here. We're going to put down a flame trap, quickly light it, and then disembark. Ideally, if we did this right... Okay, so we didn't. But ideally, if we did this right, BT's AI would have backed him up over to that door and caused him to... actually ended up becoming slower because of that. But ideally, this would have caused BT's dialogue to instantly start in that situation, which didn't end up happening. But it's okay. Hindsight is how you say 2020, and... sometimes you make a mistake, and you just have to live with it. Anyway, as we wait for this dialogue to finish here, we'll be heading into the next stage, which is the most storied IL of the game. You may have noticed that we didn't collect any helmets there, as we didn't collect any helmets in Effect and Cause 3. Both of these two levels are identical to their any % counterparts, and this is because the helmets that can be collected in these stages are faster to collect in other variants of those levels. So, with that being said, we're going to head into Beacon 2. This level requires a lot of focus, so I'm going to let Dorito take it away.
Yes, okay. So, Beacon 2. It is the speedrun level. And it is the speedrun level because it is non-stop action from start to finish. And yes, as Fluffy said, it requires a lot of focus to do good in it. So we're going to dodge all these electric walls as we head into the kill room, which contains one of the helmets, but we still end up skipping that room. So we're going to grab the helmet and immediately we'll checkpoint. And as we spawn right back here, grab the softball, which we'll use for grenade boosting. And we're going to do something called kill room skip, where we use a softball boost over here to make this gap. This looks good. Yes. Okay, this is one of the harder tricks to do in this game. It's a big test of fundamentals. And now we're going to head into this next room where we need to stop this big wind turbine as we head over to say hello to our friend Marvin from earlier. So yeah, there he is.
Hi, Marvin.
Look at him.
Bye, Marvin.
Hello, Marvin.
And there he goes. We did say hi. We did say hi.
You did. This is true.
Now we're going to collect the second helmet of the level here. Beautiful. As we head into the next section, which has horizontal turbines this time. And we're going to be doing one more skip here, which is called heatsink skip. We're going to use another softball boost. Okay, not quite. We have to go for a backup. To make it to this wall, hit the trigger so we don't soft walk. As we head into the next really fast fan section, where we're going to have a lot of momentum. And we're going to try, yes, corner cut, of course. And we're going to try to conserve all this momentum into one wall kick and use all that speed to get over this gap. Ooh, okay, this looks good. And spam jump on these stairs and arrive at the top with our butt on fire.
Yeah, excellent. That was a very, very good Beacon 2, all helmets for my standards. I am very happy with that. Alrighty, so... with Beacon 2 all done and dusted, we're now heading into Beacon Chapter 3. And if you've ever seen a Titanfall 2 speedrun before, this is like probably the most famous level in the speedrun. And that's because of a trick that we'll be doing later on in the level. However, in the moment, I just want to throw out...
Oh yeah.
I'm immortal. So, whenever you enter this section for the first time, I don't know if this is the same on harder difficulties, but at least on like the easy difficulty, which is what we run on, the game actually applies an immortal status to you in the sense that like it gives you like a significant amount of health regen. So as long as you don't do too much damage to yourself instantly, you won't die. But the reason for that is you're supposed to come into here, and this is a radiation hazard. And the game encourages you to go through this as quickly as possible, but there's literally no way that you can die from this. You can quite literally come into this room, take a nap in real life, come back, and you'll still be alive. So, you're not in any real danger through that section. So while we're waiting for the next section of the level to be started, this is a good time to bring up the fact that you may have heard that the spoken language in the game is not in English. It's actually in Mandarin. And Mandarin is good because there are specific sections of the game where your progression is tied to the spoken dialogue ending. And over the course of the entire run, it saves 38 seconds over English and is the fastest language that we know of, with German being like the second fastest. And in this level alone, of the 38 seconds, this level alone saves 12 seconds via having your spoken language in Mandarin. So it's very beneficial to have that.
Right. And for the next trick we're going to explain, since we did menu for a couple of Titan loadouts, we're going to be using one of them, which will be Brute, to activate a glitch called Moon Boots, where we disembark from BT in the middle of a hover, which normally you aren't supposed to do, but if we wedge ourselves in this corner and disembark, hold disembark, we will get out, and as Fluffy is collecting all the helmets here, we're gonna transition to this next big section. So basically, if you've seen the big dish that's all the way in the distance, we need to get there, which if we're going our normal speed would be a little bit of a challenge, but here we have BT throw us, and since we have reduced gravity, we're also at the end of this cutscene, we're gonna hold our jump input to get a frame perfect jump out of BT's hand, giving us a lot of height with the jump and the gravity reduction, which will result in super fastball, or as it is referred in all helmets, super curveball. Enjoy, folks.
Yeah, so immediately you see we take a detour from the regular fastball route. We come over here to pick up this one helmet. We then route ourselves over. We're going to do an extended slide hop off of this building. That should let us land on top of here. Didn't quite work, so we're going to just adapt our routing here. We've lost most of our speed, but we can adapt the routing at this point to make sure that we get past it. Okay. Should still make that. Okay, gonna have to go for a small little backup here, but no big deal. So the ideal is you would have been able to keep all of that speed the whole way through, but we had a little bit of a slight mishap there. But the ideal is you would have gotten yourself directly through that window with all of the speed, pick up this helmet, come around to this corner. Ooh, that's an interesting mistake to make. Alright, so since we've already collected the helmets, we don't have the helmet there, we don't have to go the whole way around. The great thing to note is that if you have to reload checkpoint and you end up behind where a helmet was, you don't have to worry about picking up the helmet again, because once you've picked up the helmet, it's saved into the game's memory. This is the reason we could reload back in Abyss 1 and not lose any time from having to pick up the helmet again. So we're going to go for a Grav Star boost. Didn't quite work. Going to go for a backup position here. Didn't make it. So once again, we're going to have to reload checkpoint. Difficult. There's a lot of difficult movements here, but once again, since we have done that, we're going to go for the 90% strategy here. There we go. That's a much better boost. We'll make the gap this time. And now we're going to pick up this module and go for Zipless. Now, previously in routing for this level, you had to actually stop right at the end of Zipless and pick up a helmet along the way. But thanks to a clip found by Next Racer later on in the level, we can actually completely ignore that and come back for it later. So we're going to go for Peeve Zipless here. Very good boost. Nicely done. And we're going to try and carry this momentum the whole way through the remainder of this sequence.
This is really fast. Oh. This is really good.
So we're going to quickly throw a Grav Star here. We're going to touch the zip line as we're coming down, and that is important for later. And now we're going to enter the dish fight sequence. So we threw that Grav Star there because... thank you, Smitty. We threw that Grav Star there because this dish fight sequence is an auto-scroller that has a couple ways to speed it up, one of which is extremely advanced, so I was not going for it this time around. But by throwing a Grav Star there and killing the enemies that stay up in that building, you can actually cause this dish fight sequence to end earlier than normal because you won't have to wait for those enemies to respawn. So now we're just going to try and go through some optimization here, take out what enemies we can. We're going to jump up here and try and take out a couple more enemies. We want to get at least one more enemy to spawn here.
Yes, and what we're waiting for usually here is for a certain bass sound effect that plays to tell us that the fight is over. But since this is all helmets, we have to do it a little bit earlier than that because we have a few helmets that we need to collect before we install the dish module that we just
specifically with this routing, we only have the one to worry about, which is over here, but it's still important that we start climbing for this helmet. So we're going to go for a little strategy here to parkour our way around, get to the top of the dish. So we've collected the 7 out of the 9 helmets as we're going to head to the end of the level. And those last 2 helmets we will collect later in a time where we're not technically supposed to be able to grab them. But that is okay because we will make it work.
Yes, and as we head into our canonical death as the dish here tilts and we fall into this bottomless pit of toxic chemicals. And oh my god, what is BT doing? Oh my god!
You did it, bud.
You did
Thanks
it.
for the save. Alrighty. So, now we're going to head into the end of the level here. We're going to be going into the Richter fight. And there's going to be a few specific strategies we're doing here in order to make the strategy go as quickly as possible. One of the things we'll be taking advantage of is something known as spawn manip. So, generally speaking, most spawns in this game are relative to player position and where they're looking. So, by standing here, for example, we can force these first 2 Reapers to spawn in this particular position right here. Because the next wave is a scripted timer, we take those out with melee attacks, then we come through here, fire an arc wave, kill those 2 via... Oh, this guy is slippery. Kill those 2 via shots from a main weapon, and then kill the last one with melees. We stand here, look here, they'll spawn these 2 Titans right over here, which we can use for a manipulation here. Put that flame wall down, put a flame trap here. Ideally, if we stand right here, the Brute will dash forward. We can dupe the damage of the trap by looking up as we use our flame shield, destroy them both, and now we head into the Richter fight itself. I'm going to be doing a variation of the fight itself that I came up with called the Scorch strat, which is theoretically faster than the Ronin strat, but is also less consistent, so we'll see how it goes here. The ideal is that he instantly explodes and saves a couple seconds. We put down the flame wall, shoot, put down a flame trap as we use our ult, and then flame core here. He did not instantly inject, so we'll quickly swap over to Brute, take our shots, and now we just have to use the fly ability, get up here, disembark while flying, which clips us into this building. Now we're going to wait for the elevator to move, come back over here, disembark again, which clips us back out of bounds, allowing us to move during this ending sequence where we normally would not be able to. And now we can use this time to collect the final 2 helmets of the level.
Yes, and to explain what happened there a little bit more into detail, what we did there is called a disembark clip, where if you disembark from BT at any time, it puts both the player and BT in a space where they can both stand up. And when we clip on top of that little section of the building, the closest possible spot we can disembark to just so happens to be like inside of the building, not where we're supposed to stand. And we use that disembark clip once again because the game realizes, wait, you're not supposed to be in here, and which teleports us back outside. But since we were still inside the building, the cutscene still triggers, which magically teleports BT back inside to talk to the grunts.
Yep. And as you saw, we used the time when the game was in a scripted sequence of going to the end of the level to collect the final 2 helmets of this level. And you saw I used the zipline to get back up to the final helmet. The reason I touched the zipline on the return sequence of Zipless is because if I don't touch that zipline on the return sequence and then attempt to touch it there, the game crashes. So touching the zipline there was integral to making sure that I could finish the stage. And yeah, that is that is the Beacon Chapter 3 all helmets done and dusted. And yeah, that was, aside from the mistakes on the super curveball sequence. Honestly, pretty well done for the rest of that stage. But now we're going to be heading into Trial by Fire. So, Trial by Fire is interesting because this level used to be exclusively a Titan level that in all helmets you would make very brief pilot movements during. Now, this level is actually about 40% Titan and 60% pilot in the all helmets route. So we're going to start off here. The level in the development name for this level was T-Day, or Titan D-Day, and the reason for this is, as you can see, oh geez, we're standing by for Titanfall. We're assaulting this wall over here. That looks really cool. Like, yeah, it's meant to be sort of reminiscent of the D-Day landings in that sense, which I think is a very cool reference. So, we're going to go ahead and walk up to this wall here. Normally, we're not supposed to be able to reach this wall, but by using the Ronin's sword block ability, we can actually take 75% reduced damage, which allows us to exist here and set us up for this opening strategy here. So ideally, we're going to pick up one of these. Okay, that was closer than I would have liked, but we are alive. That's okay. That's what matters at the end of the day, is that we are alive. We're going to do some strategies here to try and take these guys out. Hopefully we can manipulate this guy back into some of these flames. There we go. Now we're going to come over here, use a flame core. Hopefully should take out both of them. We're going to take out this guy with that.
What we're trying to do here is we have to kill a certain number of enemies to make this door in front of us open, which will be signified by Sarah, which is our commander here, with a voice line that will pop up on screen. So
the voice line in question in English is "Pilot, you're with me," or "Tihu Komalai," as she just said right there.
Yeah. So we were waiting for a certain number of enemies to spawn, and now we're gonna head into the escort part of this mission. This is basically just. This part is just an escort mission where we have to clear the way for Sarah, because if we don't, she will take her sweet time dealing with all of the enemies that are going to be in front of us. So we have to kill them as fast as possible. And after this Scorch here, we're going to kill another Reaper, shoot a few rockets into these grunts, and actually disembark from BT, which if you played this level before, you will not even think of doing, and many people haven't actually seen the loadout we have here. But yeah, we disembark to jump around this section to do a strat called Triggerless, where we skip one of the triggers that spawns a bunch of enemies, so we don't have to fight them. And since we got in front of BT and Sarah, we're gonna use this time to collect the second helmet of the level as we head into the elevator sequence, where we're gonna transition into Lone Wolf.
Alright, so there is a strategy here. So the idea is you want to get BT stuck in a location so that while you're doing Lone Wolf, BT doesn't die during the movement. There is a strategy here where you can get BT stuck in the elevator itself. However, I've had inconsistency issues with it, and it also is a little bit marathon unsafe. So I'm instead going to take a strategy where I come over here, guarantee that the game gives us a checkpoint, and then get BT stuck by hovering over here, and then disembarking while flying there, which gets BT stuck in place, and now we can head on to the all helmets variation of Lone Wolf.
Also, fun fact, I made that getting BT stuck strat. There we go, word's good. So yeah, this is a very intense and very dangerous section of the level, because we are a Wii pilot with on the same field as a bunch of massive Titans, a whole army of them, and we're just basically trying to claw at our life here by trying to dodge all of their fire, but still managing to go really, really fast. Look at that, 70 kilometers an hour, and we're trying to reach the end of this big stretch here, where we're gonna trigger a cutscene, which lets this ship in front of us escape. There we go. But we're not out of the woods yet. We still have a little bit of gameplay here where it has happened to people before, even on marathons, where they would just die in this section and get sent back all the way to the beginning of Lone Wolf, because the checkpoints here are scary.
Yeah, but thankfully nothing ended up going wrong there with that, and that is about as good of a Lone Wolf as you can ask for, considering the things that did happen. And now we're done with Trial by Fire, and we're heading on over to the arc. And the beginning of the arc here, it is an auto-scroller sequence. No way to speed it up. I threw that grenade there because at the end of this auto-scroller sequence, if we don't have any grenades in our inventory, it'll give us a full suite of grenades, which we'll need for some strats later on. In the meantime, Zoku, if you got some messages, take it away.
I mean, you've been saying, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, but that was impressive as heck, Fluffy. Dang! And I'm not the only one you impressed. Windbliss sent in a donation, $3.02, saying the Cat Dragon is impressed with the speed of Beacon 2.
Thank
We
you.
also have a $2.43 donation from Final Flame. No comment, but thank you so much for your generosity. That is bringing our total currently to $2,035.45. You know what, chat? I kind of want to see that be an nice even number. You want to help me get there? Send in some donations. Let's bring that up to like 2050 or even 2,100. Or you know what, Fluffy, Dorito, give me a good number to get our donors up to.
2,150. Get it up to there. All right? I believe in y'all. You can do it. All right. So, this is Viper. This will be the boss of the level. This guy is the perfect mix of anime, edge, and cool. Like, I'm just saying it, man. Viper is the coolest dude I've ever seen in my life. Anyway, if you look up in the top right there, BT's standing up in the air and waving at us. Hi, BT. Hey, bud. How you doing? You're not supposed to be able to see that. That's view model shenanigans. Anyway, we're going to be coming up here to Barker Skip. Now, this is the single highest variance trick in the run. We're going to be doing an original strat here for comfort before we go for a backup. I need an audio cue here. And no, overshot it. Unfortunate. I mashed back too, man. I just couldn't. Too much speed, unfortunately, but we'll go for that again. There we go, second try. All right, perfect.
Yes.
So, Barker Skip has a lot of variance to it, and there's kind of just nothing you can really do about it. But thankfully, second try is still faster than doing the intended strat. Should be good here. Yeah, all right, there we go. So that was early 6-4. Jumping off there. This is dangerous.
Oh, that's extra dangerous.
Yep,
Yeah,
still managed to make it work, though. I made sure to position myself best I could. Alright, so that's the first helmet there. Ideally, you can use the momentum you have jumping off the 6-4 ship into that building and completely just get to that helmet immediately, ignore the danger of that situation. Because of the awkward approach angle I had, I couldn't quite do that, but we will take that and we will move on to the next part, which is these gun batteries. Now, the game tells you to kill all 3 gun batteries, but you actually only have to take out the second gun battery itself. So, we throw a frag there to take out that guy. Ideally here, we can take out these guys before the little, I don't know, that tumble animation? Yeah, that tumble animation. Draws, I swear to God. Thank you. Okay, so, there's a soft lock that can happen here. Doing Barker Skip causes a lot of weird things to happen to the level, or that can potentially happen to the level. One of them is if this guy here, Draws, comes down first from that ship, the game soft locks because he just flies off in the distance and you actually need him to progress the level. Alright, so here we're going to go. We're going to go for a slide strategy here. Oop, missed it. Going to reload checkpoint, no big deal. A little bit late on it. Alright, there we go. We got it that time. Very good checkpoint. So that allows us to slide in there, get to... Oopsie daisies. I did not wait the second I needed to let the ship fully even out before doing it. So we'll just do the 80% strategy now that we have the helmet. We're going to run forward, wait for it to even out, and then slide off.
Yeah, if you haven't picked up on this yet, this level has a theme of just weird things happening after we do Barker Skip. It's this kind of like butterfly effect thing, which is the reason we in the community really don't like this level. But yeah, here we're in this fight sequence. We need to pretty much just clear out specific grunts because the 6-4 is scripted to take out specific grunts or a specific number of grunts. So we're just going to try to help out as much as we can, or as fast as we can as well. And a little bit of a volume warning after we're done with this section here as we try to collect this next helmet, which it can get a little loud. So again, volume warning.
Yeah, turn your volume down for a brief bit because some setups, mine included, like right here, I don't know if you can hear it, but the audio gets very, very loud in the back part of this for some reason. And I have no idea why, but we should be safe from it at this point, so if you did turn your volume down, you are safe to turn it back up once again. So, that is the last helmet of this level. From here, we're going to be progressing through the level as normal. So, this sequence here is scripted. All we needed to do is hit a button when it pops up to make the sequence go to the next part. Once we do that, we run through, and we come on over to this module here. And we're going to stab our little data knife into it.
Which lets us just control this ship with a knife. Don't ask questions. This is the magic all-doing knife.
So, you might have noticed that my prompts for my buttons in the bottom left changed. I'm actually using a controller for this port because it is actually very hard to properly steer that with a mouse and keyboard without specifically risking the fall timer in this level bugging out and killing you at the end of that, or having the game crash at the end of that sequence. But now that we're done with that, we can head on into the Viper fight itself, and we'll be doing a strategy called Viper Zerg. Voodoo 1, Vipers on station. Your run ends here, pilot. The RNG belongs to me. No time to save. No run to bless. So we dash forward. We're going to zoom in. Up. Do one laser. Second laser. Swap over to the tone loadout here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to fire those missiles. Hopefully go directly into Viper. Swap to Expeditioner. Fire a barrage of missiles into him once again. Ideally here, we get a full clip into him. Didn't quite work, so we're going to try one more time to take him out with that clip. There we go. Oh,
ooh,
I got
wow.
cored. Yep.
You got
that sometimes
cored there.
Yeah, that does sometimes happen, unfortunately, where the Scorches behind you will use their flame cores when they really shouldn't. And they will just murder you if you are any little bit below
Doom state.
Any little bit below Doom state with that core. This one's going much better this time, so I'm just going to take the time real quick to take that out of the way. Now we do 1, 2, 3. Alright, that one fight went much better that time. Unfortunately, we did get killed there, which is, even on easy difficulty, the power of the flame cores from NPC Scorches is very difficult, or very dangerous to look out for. So, didn't end up working out for us that time, but it is okay. I realized I don't have my Mastis for this because I accidentally swapped to a pistol as I was going in there. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of a weird strategy that's going to be slower, but won't be too much slower. That's no big deal. So right here, you might notice the edge of your screen is going to get a bit cloudy. Currently, we are out of bounds. We're not out of bounds anymore, but if you do the Viper fight quick enough, you can actually end up fully out of bounds at the end of that fight, and would have to do an additional trick here called a mantle clip, which, as the name implies, you use the mantle to clip out of bounds as the out of bounds wall is moving towards you. So, as he becomes targetable here, we're just going to shoot a bunch of bullets into him, take him out, and that is the end of the arc. From here, it is a 1 minute 55 second sequence, completely scripted to the end of the level. So, in the meantime, Zoku, if you got any messages, send them away.
I just wanted to comment on the knife being able to be used for everything. I see a little bit of discussion in chat. Send in your donations. Tell me what's the weirdest thing you've used a knife for? Because I'm kind of curious. Fluffy Dorito, do you have any fun knife stories other than joystick to pilot a giant warship?
I don't think much can beat that, honestly. I haven't had many interesting knife stories like that.
The only real interesting knife story I have is the time I cut myself with one. specifically a butter knife. Don't ask me how I did that, but it happened. So I think that's about all I got with that.
But yeah, as you can see, we've actually gotten back to the funny blue marble, which is now ours. We can just take it. It's free.
Free marble? All right, let's go.
Count me in.
Alrighty, so as we shove this little guy on into BT here, we're gonna make our exit. Actually, I'm gonna go this way. Whoa! It's almost like that section is scripted to send you to this exact spot. Anyway, so the end of the level here, BT will be doing Protocol 3, which is protect the pilot, and will be protecting us as this ship crashes, as we are trapped on it and we cannot make our way out. And this will lead us into the final level of the game. I will say that there's a before the opening cutscene of this level ends here, there is an epilepsy warning. That I will let you know when we are good and done. But if we want to put up a notification for that real quick, now is the time. And I always do this on my streams, and I'll do it here as well. How do you guys feel about a little voice acting?
Yes.
Your problems are not my concern. Once you have delivered the Ark as per your contract, your payment will be transferred by the IMC. Just have my money ready. I'll get you your precious cargo, you useless niff. Oi, Titan! You're gonna open up and give me what I want. Voice command not recognized. Let me just rip it out of him. We can't risk it. The Ark's unstable. Listen, hero. You have what's mine, and I want it back. Go on, tell your Titan to open up. About what? His feelings? Still trying to be a hero, eh? I have a lot of dosh running on this contract, my friend. So tell your Titan, if he doesn't open up, I will shoot you in the head. Pilot in jeopardy. Ocular systems marginal. Cannot visually acquire pilot. Stand him up. You see him now? Right here. Right here. Yeah? You see him now? Functions compromised by severe crash. I don't care how broken you are. I know deep down something's still working there. Now open up, or I'm going to shoot your pilot in the head. You still remember numbers, don't you? I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, that wasn't so hard, was it? Yeah, that's the problem with teams. If you don't win together, you die together. Funny little thing during that, if you saw on the bottom right, during that cutscene, Blisk will do that flip and then sink into the floorboards, which is very funny. Alright, this is where the epilepsy warning is. If you're still watching and are sensitive, make sure to look away. Nice try, love. Say goodnight. Oi! Get the Ark out of here! We're running out of time! Alrighty, the photosensitivity warning is done at this point, so we're good to go on that front. And now we're going to go into a little bit of gameplay here as the opening cutscene is done. Hope you all enjoyed that. So, first thing we're going to be doing here is we're going to be backing up into this fire. We're going to get close to death, but not to death. This will cause BT to progress his dialogue about 7 to 10 seconds faster than he normally would. At this point, he will be taking his face, ripping it off, and giving it to us, which will be giving us the Sear Kit. Now, the Sear Kit stands for the Survive, Evade, Resist, Escape Kit. Inside of this kit, we're going to be getting 3 things. The first thing we're going to be getting on the right here is the Smart Pistol. This is a literal aimbot pistol that they put in the multiplayer of both games for some reason. Don't ask me why. We're going to be getting a Data Knife, which is the thing that we were using to stab into things and steer the ship. just ignore the fact that there's one in our belt already. And then they were going to be getting BT's data core. This contains the entirety of BT's AI function. As long as this is alive, BT is still alive. So, we're going to be progressing with another super slide, coming over, stabbing our knife into another little module here, and Dorito can take over.
Yes, so this is one of the last pilot sections that we have here, and it's important to not die while our jump kit is coming online, because if we do, we can soft walk the game, but it seems to be good right now, and we are actually speeding through this section, unfortunate bonk, but that's fine. Here we're gonna head into this zip line off and crouch below this garage door type thing as we head into these really tight hallways, which are really difficult to maneuver. Also, just look at that smart pistol tearing through everything as we transition into these very wall-kickable walls. Get some more speed as we prepare to grab the first helmet for this level. Jumping on top of these cables, on top of this building. Up here, yep. Now we need to climb up a little bit. Uppity, uppity, up, 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 up.
Oop.
Oh, a little bit more. There we go. And we prepare to call down BT for another time as we insert the data core.
Alrighty. So, fun little fact, this Titan chassis that dropped down is the same Titan chassis that dropped at the beginning of the game all the way back in this simulation that we would have piloted would we not have had to get out of the simulation. So, we're going to jump behind BT here. This is going to skip a talking sequence as well as skipping an extra long but special embark animation. Now we're going to be coming over here and trying to do a thing called Snuggle Core. We're going to use the Legion's Q ability here to shoot through. Ideally, we would have gotten anywheres from 60 to 100, but we did end up getting still a 40%, which is about average and saves about 1 second on average for the old strat there. The most ideal lineup gets you 100%, saves you about 3 seconds. Very, very good, but you still, on average, will save about a second using the Snuggle Core strategy here. So we're going to climb up these rocks. Now we're notably not going to use our phase dash here, and that's because we need the hover ability from the North Star to just clip through that door, which is actually one of the biggest skips in the game, and there just isn't collision there. We're going to go for a disembark jump here. Didn't quite get it, so we're going to be going for a backup here, where we jump on these walls to pick up this helmet here. Jump off of that wall, and now we're going to be heading to the final section of the game here. And this will be the final helmet that we come to get. This hallway is dangerous because there's a bunch of enemies that can shoot you here, including the specters at the end that do have access to rocket launchers, which are very dangerous. Now I'm going to be doing a bunch of very specific movement here. Okay, so didn't quite work out, didn't get the height I needed, so I'm going to be doing some backup here to try and just maneuver myself over as fast as I possibly can. And here we see the final helmet of the game. With this picked up, we have collected all helmets, assuming I haven't missed anything. And now all we have to do is beat the game. So, we're going to come over here. We're going to maneuver ourselves specifically to make sure that we hit a trigger there, because there's actually a trigger that you can miss by going too high before you hit this one here that spawns into the boss fight. And if you hit this trigger before you hit the previous trigger, you soft lock. So you want to make sure that you're falling and hitting that trigger. But this is the Sloan fight. This is a 3-phase fight that's going to have some specific planning to it, taking advantage of spawn manipulation as well as some other stuff. So, we're going to swap to the Ronin loadout, shoot our arc wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, swap to Brute, 1, 2. We want her to disappear immediately, so very good. Spawn on it, these guys here, dupe the flame trap, deal as much damage as we can, take them both out. We're going to try and shoo this guy away here as we stand here to try and spawn Manip Sloan. As she spawns in, put down a flame trap, walk towards her, which will cause her to back up into it. Ideally now, she disappears. Oh, this is... okay, so this is a little bit of an issue, but also is back-upable.
Oh, missed. Yeah, there we go.
Alright, so I don't have to kill this last Reaper because that guy got in the way. And this is because you only have to have one entity left in the room in order to progress through to the next part of the Sloan fight. So the Sloan fight is now done. She is done and dusted. We're going to activate our Sword Core before we pull out this arc injector, which is going to activate something known as Andy Shot. So, as you can see, we have our gun out in this situation where we normally wouldn't be able to. So, a while ago, a Reddit user by the name of Shot Andy posted on Reddit that, hey, I found a way to do this funny thing in this cutscene here. Here's how to do it. And what this funny thing is you see that we have a gun out in this cutscene when we absolutely normally shouldn't. Now, for those privy to the knowledge of what happens during this cutscene, you might be seeing what's coming. We're going to decanonize Apex Legends. Goodbye, Blisk. So, we can end up killing Blisk in this cutscene, and amazingly, this doesn't crash the game, it doesn't hard lock or soft lock the game, it just skips 33 seconds worth of dialogue by doing that. And thanks to Reddit user Shot Andy, we now call this trick the Andy Shot. Now, something that we didn't get is if we had done the Sloan fight perfectly, which didn't end up happening because of the RNG of the Brute's movement, we could have gotten into this sequence before the PA system said fold weapon priming sequence at 97%. Had we done that, the lights in this arc injector would have been already lit, skipping the need to go through the light up sequence, and saving 11 seconds on its own. That's called pre-charge. Unfortunately, we did not get it, but that is okay. We will be progressing into the arc injector here, being shot out, and time will be coming up at the end of this escape sequence, and we will be done and dusted with the run itself. So before we get into that, I just want to say thank you very much once again for all of y'all meeting the all helmets upgrade incentive. Always a treat for me to be able to show off all helmets. And as we come through this sequence, just got one thing left to say. Unfortunately, everybody, if you've enjoyed the presence of our good friend BT, this is unfortunately the most appropriate time to press F in the chat for BT. Godspeed, you magnificent son of a gun. Alright, so, going through this escape sequence here, we're going to be trying to go for a trick known as Hyper Zweekscape.
Right.
So we're going to start... I'll handle it, sorry.
Okay.
Ooh, I think I have a double jump. Yeah, okay. So we're going to get into this sequence here, and then we're going to try and go for at least 48 kilometers an hour. We did get it, so we're going to double jump early. This will allow us to get a slide here. We can hit this trigger, slide our way down. Time is coming up very quickly here. Time. Perfect Hyper Zweekscape to end off the run. And that is all helmets done. And wow, yeah. Honestly, for a marathon run, having not like consistently ran this category for a year, I'm very happy with that. I think the practice of mine paid off.
Yeah, it definitely did. That was amazing, especially the Hyper Zweekscape was just the cherry on top of an amazing run.
Alrighty. So, because I believe we started this run a little bit late, I'm not going to end up holding up a lot of time here, so I'm going to get my shout-outs directly out of the way. If you want to find me, you can find me at twitch.tv/LordFluffy. You can find me on Twitter at LordFluffyX. You can find me on Blue Sky at LordFluffy as well. And just want to say thank you again, Fast Pace Event, for accepting Titanfall 2. It's always a treat to show this off to everybody. Dorito, you got anything to say?
Yeah, I want to plug in the community. If you're interested in this game, you wanna speedrun this game, join us. Our Discord link is on our speedrun.com page. We are a very welcoming community, and we're always eager to help out new runners. So yeah, definitely check it out. And thank you for having us on, of course.
No, thank you. Again, masterclass in Titanfall 2 speedrunning. Whether it was just showing it off or telling us about the tricks and techniques you use. So thank you both, Fluffy and Dorito, for showing off all helmets Titanfall 2. Wow, mind blown. Chat is loving it. The crowd is going wild. Your title screen is going wild.
You did this. You donated for this category. You did this.
And Chat, you absolutely did. Chat, now would be a great time for you to get up and get a quick stretch break, get a drink, and because we've got some more fantastic runs coming up.